Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, Russian President Vladimir Putin is stepping up his crackdown inside of the country. And jury selection begins in the trial of a woman who was the armorer for Alec Baldwin's movie Rust.
Plus, rain chances are set to return by tomorrow. Those details coming up as Mountain News at 5:30 starts now.
Dedicated to Southern and Eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Two American citizens charged with espionage face more than 20 years in a Russian jail if convicted. This comes as tensions between the two countries are running high over the war in Ukraine and the death of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny. CBS's Skylar Henry has the latest from the White House.
An amateur ballerina who lives in Los Angeles was arrested last month in Russia and is facing charges of espionage. Russia's Federal Security Service says Ksenia Catalina was raising money for a Ukraine charity, something Russia considers treason. Catalina is a dual citizen, but the U.S. State Department has not been able to get in and see her.
We will continue to try to work to free those American citizens who we have determined to be wrongfully detained, and we will continue to call on humane treatment for everyone.
U.S. Ambassador Lynn Tracy did get to meet with Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich, who is also charged with espionage. He was in court Tuesday and ordered to remain in jail until his trial next month.
No American citizen should consider traveling to Russia for any reason. Period, because they are at risk of detention.
Americans are in Russian custody at a time where tensions between the two countries are on the rise, especially following the death of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny while in prison. Catalina's former mother-in-law says she's afraid what happened to Navalny may happen again.
We know it wasn't just a death, it was a murder.
Former President Donald Trump was asked about Navalny's death during a Fox News town hall.
Navalny is a very sad situation, and he's very brave.
He compared Navalny's legal custody to his own legal problems.
I got indicted. I never heard of being indicted before. I got indicted 4 times. I have 8 or 9 trials.
During a campaign stop in California, President Biden slammed Trump for failing to condemn Russian President Vladimir Putin for Navalny's death. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
The Biden administration says it will issue strong new sanctions against Russia on Friday for both Navalny's death and its continuing war in Ukraine. President Biden's brother, James Biden, testified today before the Republican-led House Oversight Committee. The closed-door interview is part of the Republicans' impeachment inquiry into the president over whether he was involved in his family's foreign business dealings. Hunter Biden is also set to appear for a closed-door interview next week. Republicans are expected to decide whether to pursue impeachment articles following those interviews. Prosecutors want to send a former FBI informant charged with lying about the Biden family's reported business dealings in Ukraine back to jail while he awaits trial. A judge released Alexander Smirnov from jail yesterday, citing conditions that would make it difficult for him to flee. But in a filing today, Special Counsel David Weiss said Smirnov lied about his access to significant amounts of cash and cited his connections to foreign intelligence officials.
Well, all thanks to a high-pressure system, some more awesome weather is on tap as we go into this evening. Here's a live look from Southwest Virginia. From UVA-wise, that current temperature up to 54 degrees as we are dry over in Southwest Virginia. But check out these temperatures for most of us right now in the middle to lower 60s. We should be close to 50, so we are well above average as we go into your Wednesday evening. Up to 63 in Jackson, 65 in Irvin. Also in Manchester, and still up to 66 in Somerset, also in Monticello at this hour. So we stay mild up on the radar. We are dry, but notice clouds continue to increase as that next weather system is not too far away, and most of us are dry as we go into this evening. Those temperatures back in the middle to upper 40s as you wake up on Thursday. A small chance of a passing shower, especially over those far northern counties as we go into late Wednesday, also early Thursday. But an increase in those rain chances are on the way as we go into your Thursday as more widespread showers are likely. Also tracking some gusty winds on Thursday as well. All those details plus the details on a cooler weekend coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
Cameron, thank you. A Nevada teenager was sentenced to a juvenile correctional facility today for his role in last year's beating death of a Las Vegas high school student. The juvenile was the first defendant in the case who pleaded guilty and received court orders that includes counseling with an anger management component along with gang intervention. In all, 9 teenagers were arrested after cell phone video captured them attacking Jonathan Lewis near Rancho High School. An Illinois judge has set a new trial date for the suspect in the 2022 Highland Park massacre. That trial is now set to begin February 24th of next year. Robert Cremo is accused of opening fire at a 4th of July parade, killing 7 people and injuring 38. Cremo's trial was previously set to begin next week, but the date was changed after he requested once again to be represented by a public defender. The trial of Hannah Gutierrez Reed, who was the armorer on the set of the Alec Baldwin film Rust in New Mexico, begins today. She loaded the gun Baldwin was rehearsing with when it fired a live round, killing the cinematographer, and has been accused of criminal negligence for her handling of weapons on the set. CNN's Laura Geary has more on the case as jury selection begins, a case watched closely since the film's star could face trial on the same charge later this year.
I'm the armor, or at least I was.
That's Hannah Gutierrez Reed with Santa Fe, Mexico deputies shortly after the deadly on-set shooting of Rust cinematographer Helena Hutchins in 2021. Gutierrez Reed was the film's armorer and is now charged with involuntary manslaughter and evidence tampering. She has pleaded not guilty.
She came in here and it went across her chest. And it came out the back and it went into her.
The bullet also wounded director Joel Souza, who was standing near Hutchins. Now the jury that will determine Reed's fate is being selected in a Santa Fe courthouse Wednesday. New Mexico's Health and Safety Bureau says as the armorer, Gutierrez Reed was responsible for all storage, handling, and maintenance of the firearms and ammo on set. According to investigators, live rounds were found on the scene, commingled with dummy rounds.
So if that's the case, then who commingled them?
Actor and Rust producer Alec Baldwin was holding the prop gun that killed Hutchins. He too has pleaded not guilty to involuntary manslaughter and could face trial later this year. The film's assistant director, David Halls, handed Baldwin the weapon.
When the guy hands me the gun and says we have a cold gun on set, that means the gun is empty. I pulled the hammer all the way back without locking it, and the gun went off.
Halls was convicted of negligent use of a deadly weapon last year. Prosecutors say Gutierrez Reed's trial will focus on lax safety protocols during the filming of Rust, while Gutierrez Reed's attorney insists his client is being unfairly prosecuted. I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
Several Rust crew members are included on the state's and defense's list of witnesses who may be called to testify during the anticipated 2-week trial. The defense's witness list also includes Gutierrez Reed's father, Thel Reed, an armorer and movie consultant. Baldwin has not been listed as a potential witness by either side in the trial. Boeing has removed executive Ed Clark, the head of its 737 MAX jet program, after a number of safety and quality-related incidents. The plane has been a massive headache for Boeing, starting in 2019 when 2 crashes within 6 months killed 346 people. The Federal Aviation Administration grounded it for 20 months. Then, in January, the door panel of a 737 MAX blew off an Alaska Airlines plane mid-flight. The final day of Julian Assange's last-ditch attempt to be granted the chance to appeal wrapped up in London's High Court today with no decision yet from judges. They are deciding whether the WikiLeaks founder should be granted permission to appeal his extradition to the United States. A large group of Assange supporters gathered outside the court to voice their support for Assange.